Okay then, so this session now is going to be looking at another voting system used in the UK. It's the final one we'll be looking at, which is known as the Single Transferable Vote, or STV for short. So, first of all, this system is used in Northern Ireland for electing the Northern Ireland Assembly. It's also used for local government elections as well in Scotland and in Northern Ireland. And there's a picture of the Northern Ireland Assembly. So, how does this system work? Right, it's a wee bit complicated. So, again, you probably want to stop this a few times to have a bit of a think about it. The Jenkins book has quite a nice explanation as well. So, again, you might want to have a look at that when I've gone through it as well. But basically, in Northern Ireland, for the Northern Ireland Assembly, each constituency has 6 representatives, so 6 MPs per constituency for the Northern Ireland Assembly. The constituencies are a bit bigger than they are for the parliamentary elections for the House of Commons. Each party can put up 6 candidates for each of those seats. So in Northern Ireland, you have like Sinn Féin party, they can put up 6 candidates. The DUP, another big Northern Ireland party, can put up 6 candidates. The SDLP, etc., etc., etc. So you can imagine how big this ballot paper might look. And the voters have 6 votes, and they actually vote in order of preference 1, 2, 3, 4. So the candidate they like the most, they put number 1 by. The one they like the second best, they put number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it means that unlike the AMS system where you vote for a political party, and if you don't like one of the candidates, it's tough. With this system, you could, if you wanted to, put all 6 votes behind all 6 candidates for one party. But equally, if you don't like one of them, so let's say, for example, you're a DUP supporter, a unionist supporter, you could vote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for all the 6 DUP candidates standing in your area. But let's say one of them you don't really like, I don't know, what makes me stupid up. One of them is your neighbour and his dog keeps pooing on your grass in the morning and he hasn't cleared it up. You might decide actually you're not going to vote for him, you're going to vote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for DUP people. But actually your 6th vote is not going to be for that idiot who you don't like. You're going to give it to another political party instead, or another candidate instead. So it does give you lots and lots of choice. But the key thing is you've got 6 votes and you put them in order of preference, 1 through to 6. Okay, this way it gets a bit complicated. There's then a formula called the droop system for deciding who actually wins the seats. And the formula is as below. It's the number of votes divided by the number of seats plus 1. So let's say, for example, this involves some quick maths, which isn't my strong point. Let's say, for example, there were 60 votes cast in this seat. Unlikely, let's say there were 60. The 6 seats available plus 1 would equal 11. So a candidate would need to get 11 votes, that's my stupid example, in order to win a seat. So all of those people on the first preference, the number 1s, who get 11 votes from my example, would automatically be elected. So there might be 1 person, there might be 2 or 3 people, depends on, the way the votes went. Obviously the numbers are a bit bigger for the real election than 11. What they then do is that the second preferences for all the surplus number of votes of the winning candidates are then redistributed amongst the remaining candidates. So, for example, if I, for example, had won on the droop system, all those who voted for me, their second preferences, again, the second preferences which are not votes for people who've already met the droop formula, in which case it'd be third preference votes, then get redistributed round. And that should then lead to some other people who might then gain a seat under the droop system. It might push up some more people to get to the 11. And that continues until they run out of people who have an opportunity to get the 11 from the winning candidates. So you probably end up having a couple of seats spare at this stage. So what they then do is that they eliminate the bottom candidate and their preferences, second preferences, third preferences, whatever, are then redistributed amongst those people who have not already been elected. And again, that should then lead to all 6 seats being filled. And the process continues until all 6 candidates have been elected. As I said, it's not the most simple system, and again, the Jenkins book, it does actually do quite a nice explanation of this system, which is on Teams. So do have a look at that because it does explain it quite well, I think. Anyway, so to carry on, I can't change the page number. I can't change it. Okay, so you got the meerkat there saying simples. Okay, why was such a complicated system chosen for Northern Ireland? I mean, what did the people of Northern Ireland do to deserve such a complicated system? Well, it's because in Northern Ireland there's been this tradition and this history of really deep religious and political divisions. There's been violence in Northern Ireland, IRA bombing, bombing on the Unionist side. And so they decided that when they wanted to create the Northern Ireland Assembly, it had to be as representative as possible. All the different sections of Northern Ireland society needed the maximum opportunity of being represented at the Northern Ireland Assembly in order to try and mitigate or get rid of some of these problems which Northern Ireland faces. The big divisions in Northern Ireland are between Catholics who tend to support uniting with the Republic of Ireland and the Unionist Protestants who believe that Northern Ireland should remain within the UK. And the fear was that if you have single member constituencies, and let's say your MP is a Protestant Unionist and you're a Catholic, then you may not want to seek representation from your local MP. So by having this system, the idea is that at least one representative in your constituency of 6 MPs is likely to be from a similar background to yourself. It also was felt that having multi-party this system leads to lots of parties winning seats in the Northern Ireland Assembly. So it's very good for pluralism, but it also means that you can't form single-party governments. And again, this system will maximise the opportunity for a number of political parties being involved in the government. And again, as a consequence, the government is likely to have people in it who represent the different sections of society. So there are certain advantages of STV. So let's do those first of all. Firstly, it is very proportional. So, you can't be 100% exact, but if a party gets 18% of the vote, they get around about 18% of the seats in the Northern Ireland Assembly. So it is very democratic in terms of representation. It is a very proportional kind of system. It does reflect how people voted. It does provide a very wide choice of parties and candidates. So like I said before, unlike AMS under the party list bit where you have to vote for a candidate from a party if you don't like them, but you want that party to win. In this system, you could do a few votes for one party and a few votes for a different party. You might decide you want to give all your votes to one party. You might decide that you don't like one person from one party, so you're going to vote for everyone else in their party, but not that one person. You're going to vote for somebody else. So there's a huge amount of choice for voters. As I said, small parties can do really well. So a very tiny party called the People Before Profits Party actually have 1 seat on the Northern Ireland Assembly. So again, they're a very small party, obviously concerned about one particular issue. So it does allow lots of small parties to do well. So in terms of democracy and representation, that's a good thing. And as I said before, by having at least 6 representatives per area, there's at least one of those MPs who's probably going to come from a similar background or a similar religious view, which is really important in Northern Ireland, and therefore there's bound to be at least one who you feel comfortable being able to see, discuss your issues, problems, etc., etc. Okay, in terms of disadvantages, I think what I might do is actually just give me a moment, have a quick look. Okay, no, it's fine. I thought I might run out of time, but it's only this one slide. In terms of disadvantages, it's a very complicated system, and it might actually confuse the voters, in terms of, how do we do this preference thing. And there's also, it makes it, voters might be confused, say, why did that person win? And it's very complicated to try and explain all this system to people. It also takes time to get winning candidates. It requires calculators, and they have this system in the Republic of Ireland as well. It takes them a couple of days to work out who's actually won. Okay, oops, didn't mean that one to go on. Oh gosh, what have I done there? There we are. Because there's 6 representatives per constituency, it might cause problems in terms of accountability. You might have all 6 working on the same issue, brought up by different people. They might all kind of step on each other's toes, so to speak, trying to solve a particular problem. Or, there might be some, I don't know, rivalry between these 6 representatives from different parties. So you can see how it might make accountability unclear. Who do you blame if something's gone wrong in your area? Which MP was it who failed to, get the money for that new gym in your area or whatever? Because small parties can do well, obviously some small parties you might see as being a bit extreme. And so again, it gives the opportunity for extremist parties to win seats in the system. And because it leads to a multi-party system, i.e. lots and lots of parties winning seats, it makes coalition governments are the norm, but coalitions can be very unstable. Between March 2017 and early 2020, there was no government of Northern Ireland. It had to be, basically nothing could happen in Northern Ireland because the 2 big parties, the DUP and Sinn Féin, just stopped speaking to each other. They had a big argument. And so if you're having governments with 3 or 4 political parties, it might lead to unstable coalitions or disagreements being made, etc., etc. Okay, that is the most complicated system in the UK, and as I said at the beginning, do look at this video again. Do look at the Jenkins book. But the most important thing are the consequences of these electoral systems, and this one is proportional, leads to coalition governments.